All right,
What's up?
looky there. Fatima Kline joining the video.
Like terrible in here.
Oh. Yeah, you don't have a fancy, you need to get a fancy ring light like me.
I know. I was gonna say, wow, your lighting's like great, and I'm sitting here with like the worst natural lighting possible.
Yeah, I'm like sitting on like a heavenly cloud over here, just like levitating here in my living room. But
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, how are things going? How's New York?
it's good. It's good. I'm glad to be back after being away for 8 days. I think that's the longest I've been away. So it definitely took a toll on me eventually. But yeah, then I came back. I took a week off, and I'm right back into training. So I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, that still blows my mind that you flew from New York to Kansas City. You're going to fight in an MMA fight, and then
Yeah.
3 days later, you're going to be in Mexico fighting in Medusa, like three people in one day. I've never heard of anyone doing that. Like so which of those matchups did you accept first?
So I definitely accepted Invicta first. I mean, it's always going to be my number one priority above everything else. But when Medusa asked me and Eddie Bravo messaged me and asked me if I wanted to do it, I was like, how crazy is this going to be? But I was like, listen, like if my fight goes kind of the same way my first fight goes, and if you watch that, it ended 3 minutes at the first round. Pretty clean, execution on everything. I wasn't injured. I wasn't like mentally really like strained or anything. So I felt fine. And I was taking a big chance and risking that, like thinking, I didn't think, it was definitely going to be over in the first round, but that's what I was planning on. So I was like, if I can get it done quickly and cleanly, like I'll be perfectly fine for Mexico and for Medusa. And so going into it again, people were like, you're crazy. Like, how do you know if you're going to be able to do it? I'm like, listen, like, I only have one life, I don't know when I'll be able to do this again. You never really know. So I was like, I'm gonna take advantage while I can. So yeah,
Yo,
it was definitely it was a crazy time for sure.
yeah. Was there anybody that was like, "Hey, I really think you shouldn't do this. This is not good."
Honestly, I had people question me, but nobody told me not to do it. So I was like, okay. I was like, I got a lot of support. So I was like, why not?
Yeah,
I definitely think that if like I know we're getting into the weight cut about Invicta a little bit later, people were like, "Oh, did you miss weight to make weight for Medusa and to be heavier at the 135?" And I was like, "Absolutely not." I was like, "If you know me, I am solely focused on making the weight, winning Invicta, and then I'll worry about Medusa, taking one step at a time." And for me, it came like very easy to like strategize on Invicta and take
mm,
Invicta first. I didn't at one point ever think that, oh, I need to do like combat rounds instead of MMA rounds. I just thought, okay, so I'm already in a fight camp. It's not like I'm like not training for like jujitsu or for a combat match. I just used my MMA technique and everything I was learning through and working on during my camp to put into Medusa, and luckily it all worked out. If it
yeah,
didn't, I would be like, ooh, that I maybe not do that again, but it all seemed to work out, and
sure,
I was really happy with my performance. So, yeah.
good, good, yeah. And it's like I know none of us wanted the Invicta fight to be canceled, but on the bright side is like you got to go to Medusa completely healthy,
Yeah,
scratch. So there
absolutely.
is that side of it. And
Yeah,
I,
I was
go
I
ahead.
was definitely like, oh man, I was like, what's gonna happen at Medusa now? Like I just my Invicta fight fell through. I was really looking forward to that, and I was like, man, how am I gonna be like mentally? Because that's like it was a real disappointment for me. Seriously, like I trained so hard. I felt the absolute best I've ever felt in a fight camp, and to have that fall through, I was super disappointed. But it almost gave me like double the amount of motivation to go to Medusa and just make a complete statement, and like thank God like that's what happened. And so I was like, I can't be mad. So
was it hard to, so did you feel like you were able to like emotionally turn a page from Invicta and kind of go into Medusa fresh, or do you feel like you had a lot of that energy with you kind of carrying it into the events of Medusa?
Yeah, I think I kind of like had a mix of struggles. I think like the first 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday, especially, Wednesday was fight day for the Invicta fighters. And I was in the hotel and I saw, all the girls getting ready and I saw the girls leaving and I was like, wow, I was like, I really wish that was me. I was so jealous. I was like, man, I was like, I would take anybody right now, 125, like 115, doesn't matter if they make weight, if they have medicals. I was like, I'm just ready to go. So Wednesday and Thursday definitely really took a toll mentally on me. But I think by the time I got to Mexico on Thursday and Friday, and I started to see, the competition, and I started to see Eddie and Victor, I think a switch started to flip, and I was like, okay, that chapter is now closed. A new one's about to open, and I got to be the one to flip the pages. Or else I'd just be opening the book and then closing it again if I never gave it a chance.
Yeah.
So it gave me a lot of motivation when I got there, and honestly, like I was mad, I was disappointed. So many emotions went through Invicta, and all that went into Medusa. So I was like, there's no way I'm not losing without a battle. I was like, I've gone through so much through my fight camp. I'm not just gonna get wiped out first round by some bigger chick than me. So I was like, I'm gonna put up a fight, and whatever the outcome is, like, I'm glad that I had a backup. Because if I didn't have a backup, then like, I spent like 2 months worth of training for absolutely nothing. So I'm glad that a lot of people who did support me, like, got to see, my hard work put into practice.
Yeah. And, I shared a reel today of some of your combat jiu-jitsu highlights from Medusa. And looking at that and knowing what happened in Invicta, you would definitely think like, I feel like she had a bone to pick with somebody. Like, there's definitely some like emotions flying out of these open palm strikes right now on these, poor women that have to be your opponent. But I want to go back to let's go back to Invicta. So, what happened with the flights and the delays? Kind of what was going on there?
Yeah, so I was leaving at, I believe, like around like 1:45. My flight started to take off to where was I going to? I was stopping in, I believe it was Texas. I had a connecting flight, so I stopped in Texas. That was fine. I was on my way to Kansas City, and on my way to Kansas City, I guess there was like a terrible snowstorm, ice storm, and they shut down Kansas airport, and so they flew me out to Omaha, Nebraska. I landed there at about maybe 6, 7 o'clock. Um, they didn't tell me anything as far as like if the flight was canceled, if it was still on. So I was sitting there like, like, who am I gonna talk to? So it was funny. I guess a few other girls were like stuck in Chicago and stuck at Omaha too. A lot of people, their flights did get canceled, so they were flown out to a different area where they were able to get in a hotel and to stay and be able to fly in on Monday morning. For me, my flight was still on, and I didn't know that it wasn't going to leave until 11:30 at night. So I was sitting in the airport from about like 6 o'clock till 11:30.
Jeez.
And at that point, like, traveling, like I'm going through my water load, so I'm dealing with like being thirsty, I'm dealing with being hungry, and then I'm an early bird to bed. So at that point I was like an hour and a half past. So now I'm like tired. I didn't wind up landing and getting into my hotel until 1:30 in the morning,
Oh my God.
and it was awful. I felt awful between like all the different flights, because I started traveling. I left my home at like 10 a.m. And now it's like I didn't like land and get like comfortable until like 1:30 in the morning. So I was like, this is really rough. Totally unexpected, nobody's fault.
Hmm.
I'm glad I got there safely because the turbulence was crazy. I didn't
Oh,
even think I was gonna make it alive. So I was like, okay, the fact that I made it alive, thank God. So yeah, I wound up getting there at like 1:30 in the morning, and if you ever fly, you know the way it feels. Like trying to get back into your skin, trying to feel the groove of things, and so yeah, I like collapsed and I didn't wake up until like 12 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday, trying to recover.
man. So like and yeah, and like the Omaha airport, like these are not,
Yeah.
New York or Atlanta where it's like you've got all these amenities and restaurants, and
Yep.
in the meantime it's like what's going through your mind is like you're seeing your like weigh-in window to cut weight get shorter, and are you thinking like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to cut this weight. I don't even know if I'm going to get there. Like what's going through your mind as like you're seeing that window close?
Yeah, so I physically started to feel heavy afterwards, so I kind of knew something was wrong, and I was like, man, this like I think my weight cups is gonna be like a little bit tougher this time around. And it was so weird because my entire fight camp, I think it's been the best fight camp I've ever had. I felt physically super strong, technically sharp. I just felt fully prepared for everything that would have came my way in the cage. And when I kind of started to feel almost the opposite, I felt from being great to like, why do I feel like heavy? You know what I mean? Like, why do I not feel like myself? And yeah, Tuesday morning, weigh-in started. I weighed in before the official time was from 10 to 12. I weighed in at like 9:45 and I was 121. And I said, okay, if I can make it to 116, right, the 1 pound allowance, I'll definitely use that allowance to my advantage. I said I can cut that within that designated time. And so we went through. I was doing everything I was supposed to do as far as weight cutting, and I went back onto the scale at 11:45 about. So I only had 15 minutes left until the cutoff, and I was 117 and a half. So I knew the pounds were getting off, and I just ran out of time. And so we got on the phone with Shannon Knapp, and Shannon told us that whatever the commissioner says, whatever they grant you, like that's it. You can't go against it. And so Shannon was telling the commissioner about my travel delays and everything, and so he granted me an extra hour. So I had until about 1 o'clock, and I mean, he was like, if you don't make it here at even like 12:59, he's like, I'm cutting you off. And I was like, deal. I was like, you don't even have to say another word. I was already back into my weight cut. And by 12:59, I was 115.8. He wrote down my official weight, told me the fight is on. I looked to my opponent and she goes, I don't want to take this fight. And I was like, what? I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I don't like, for me thinking that, I'm like, you can't do that. Like, there's got to be something like somewhere that says you can't do that. Cause I've never had that happen. I've never had somebody look at me in the face and be like, this isn't happening. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, the whole room went kind of like, look, and we were all like, what? Like she made the weight. It took me extra time, but I was like, a lot of people, again, did get to stay in a hotel. It's a lot different, landing late, but being able to sleep in a hotel and travel back the next morning. I had to like sit in an airport for like an extra few hours and I didn't land until 1:30 in the morning. And she claimed that it was an unfair advantage. Meanwhile, they've done it before. I'm sure they'll do it again. The UFC does it, and I'm sure a bunch of other organizations do it. But I was like, you know what? Okay. And then I started brainstorming. I was like, all right, like, what are we gonna do? Can I get another opponent? Can we somehow convince her? And I asked her multiple times. I was like, just take it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why you're not taking it. She weighed in at 114 and a half, I think. And I was like 115.8. So we're in like the designated, like, realm of our weight. Like there's no reason you shouldn't. And I couldn't believe my eyes. And we got on the phone with Shannon, and Shannon was like, I've never had this happen before. She was like, I'm happy you were able to make the weight. I'm sorry that, the way that things happen is what happened. But she was like, I've never had this happen before. I don't if she says no, she says no. And I was like, you can't like force her to say yes or like do something to
What's your
make her
muscle
say
in?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, do you want me to like cut another? Like, I was like, do you want me to weigh in at exactly what you weighed in, 114 and a half? You know, I was ready to give up anything, everything to just make the fight happen. And you know, it was a disappointment to me. It was a disappointment, definitely the commissioner, because the commissioner was like, dude, this girl worked to like cut this weight to be able to fight, and you're just gonna say no. And it was definitely a disappointment to, you know, all the fans that want to watch, and all, you know, all the people that support both of us. You know, my parents flew out. I had my coach flew out. I had another coach flew out. You know, like I had a lot of people there to support me, and it was a big disappointment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, man, again, I'm so sorry that happened. And I think everyone felt similar to you, the way you did, of just like, we can't figure out a reason why someone would divest all of that time, energy, even money to train, fly to another country, and then your opponent makes weight, and you know you're missing out on a payday.
Yeah.
I just, I think a lot of people were just like at a loss why she would do that. Could you tell if there is any sort of like miscommunication or something that their team was informed that wasn't accurate? Or this is just me trying to like grasp for straws, like I don't know why you would.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at first I thought it was like a language barrier. I was like, does she know like what's really going on?
Hmm.
Like you told her like I made the weight right. And there was a translator fully there, like translating everything I was saying. I don't think I don't know if she hasn't come across something like this before, but I mean, at the end of the day, and this is what I said to myself, is that like fighters fight. You know what I mean? Like for me, and I try to put myself in those shoes, like I would have wanted them to give her extra time to cut the weight. Like you have to make weight, you know.
Hmm.
I don't know if I'd fight somebody like significantly bigger than me, but again, like I went to Medusa and I fought people kind of doubled my size, you know. So for me, I fight regardless of height, weight, skill. You know what I mean? I'll just fight everybody. But in that case, I guess it wasn't the same, you know. And one of my uh one of my guys actually winded up going up to her away from me because at this point I was like, I'm gonna just go up to my room. So I was chilling in my room, and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna make sure like they know what's going on, just in case like they think something that's like not true because somebody didn't tell them. And he went down there and he was talking to them, and it was pretty clear that she didn't want to take it. You know, she mentioned something about my grappling, and I was like, is that the reason why you're not taking it? I was like, you knew I've been, if you do your homework on me and you strategize, you know I'm a grappler. I was like, if you didn't want to fight because like you're afraid of it, like, you know, like you didn't feel confident in like your defense on things, like just say that like a month ago, even like 2 weeks ago, because at least by 2 weeks you can find a replacement. You know, to do it the day before is just unprofessional, you know. And she knew that I was there, I was ready. Even if she went back on her word an hour before the fight started, I would have still said yes. I would have been like, all right, like this is kind of getting ridiculous, but I would have been fine with it, you know.
Yeah.
Just to I love fighting, I love being in the cage. I love doing what I do, you know. And so I was fully prepared, I was fully ready to just, you know, get out there and like execute everything we've done, you know. I think she was hanging on, like, not trying to say anything bad because I don't want people thinking I'm saying that, but she sounded like she was looking for every excuse not to fight.
Mm.
For me, I was looking for any excuse to get you to fight, you know,
Yeah.
whether it was like, I'll buy you a burger after, like, I'll give you whatever you want, like, I'll give you a big hug, you know, but, um, yeah, it was just, it was just a whole big mess.
Yeah. I know it. I don't know if I'll ever find out what was the true story behind that, but have you like talked to her? Has she talked to you since that, or like any more?
Yeah. No, I mean, I know she went on social media and kind of like lied about what happened, and that's when Nolan King and MMA Junkies kind of did a report on it and everything, and the commission said it itself. You know what I mean? So you can't really go against commission's word no matter what. You know what I mean? If you have a problem with them giving me extra time, go to them. You know what I mean? But people were going to me in social media saying that like I was unprofessional, that I missed weight by 5 pounds. I was like, if you saw me, you know I wasn't I wasn't 5 pounds over. I mean, I looked like a stick. And on the scale it says, and on official paper it says 115.8. And so yeah, when she started lying, I was like, okay, like I can deal with like smack talk, but you can't make me look bad like that, you know, especially when I did what I was supposed to do, you know. It'd be one thing if they didn't give me the time and I actually missed weight, you know, that's one thing. I could respect that. But the fact that they did give me extra weight and I did weigh in the time that they did give me, I mean, like, what other reason there is? And then for a report to come out and say that commission agreed with me, and to say that I was 115.8, and to say that Vera did not want to fight, you can't really argue that, you know. So I had people going back and forth with me. I was like, I didn't do anything, you know. Like you're yelling at me. I didn't give myself extra time. I can't do that. The commission did. So I was like, you got to call Kansas Commission.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the commission was on my side about things. So I'm really happy that, you know, they weren't upset with me at all. But yeah, you know how it is. Like as soon as the word goes out, social media kind of like blows up. So it got good coverage. So I was like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like Nolan King and MMA Junkie were posting about it, and I'm like, well, if anything, you're getting like some more visibility
Yeah.
and kind of visibility that you want, but and you know, it's like we have the receipts, so
Yeah.
like there's really no debate. And
right.
the Kansas Commission, you're playing by the rules that the commission gave you to play by. So but yeah, so going forward to Medusa, you're going from like snowy, windswept plains of Kansas down to like the ultimate, you know, vacation destination, sunshine, beautiful Cancun, Mexico. Um, so as I was like watching over uh, the Medusa fights, something that I noticed was like I felt like you were one of the main people that like really utilize the combat jiu-jitsu rules with like the striking. And is that like when you're preparing for Medusa, are you training with like jiu-jitsu plus strikes, or is that any kind of different training than normal?
It wasn't too different. I mean, I was getting ready for an MMA fight, so there'd be times where I would do like my MMA grounds and like closed fist, ground and pound, and then there was also times just to get ready, for combat jiu-jitsu as well. I would just strike open-handed, and do ground and pound like that. I think I know my biggest training partner was my sister. She isn't the biggest MMA fighter, but she's aggressive and she can hit, especially it being me. I'm sure she wanted to hit me even more so. Um, so I was working with her a lot, and we were just really doing our same jujitsu rounds, just focusing more so on slaps,
Mm-hmm.
on both ends. You know, I didn't know if I would get somebody that just wanted to play jujitsu, or somebody like me who was going to utilize the slaps, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to get a mix of both just to make sure I'm prepared for like all aspects of the game. You know, it's something I've never done before. Similar to MMA, which I think that's what made me feel a little bit comfortable, but not MMA. So you kind of gotta get used to it. And yeah, I would go through my rounds, open hand slaps, and we would just roll as we normally would. And if I found the open spots, I would strike. If they found the open spots, they would strike. But going into, I mean, like any fight for me, I always want to be the aggressor. I always want to be that one that who is hitting and not the one who is like receiving the hits.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad, like, um, during all of my Medusa matches, I was slapped around a little bit. I wouldn't say anything was like kind of like injured me at all, you know, or really stunned me at all. Instead, that's what I was trying to do to like my opponents is using the slaps to kind of enhance my jiu-jitsu, you know. When you get hit, it makes you think of, oh, I don't want to get hit again, instead of thinking of a submission coming, you know. Rather than during just jiu-jitsu, you're constantly thinking, you know, subs, sweeps, this, that. Um, MMA, you're thinking of like ground and pound spots. You know, if somebody gets a mount on you rather than in jiu-jitsu, like you could be taking a lot of damage. And so I tried to really incorporate mixing the two together and being able to show like the beauty of jiu-jitsu, and then also being able to show the aggression of MMA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was super entertaining. Like, I think just like, you know, it's always seemed to come out of nowhere whenever you just like dart forward with a slap. Like everyone in the audience and like watching on UFC Fight Pass could just like feel the slap almost, just like, oh man. So you're telling me that your sister volunteered to be slapped by you to prepare for training. That is
Yeah.
that's a very
Yeah, I definitely think that I mean, I think she can, I mean, if she does, and I'm sure she will at some point, because right after my training camp and right after my fight, she was like, I want to do it. And I was like, you're crazy. I was
yeah.
like, I did this because I was asked to. And then after I was asked to, then I was like, wow, I really like this. I want to do this. She, on the other hand, like, just like, I mean, not for 1 second was I like, oh, can you do a little bit more slaps or a little less? She just had the perfect balance of it. And yeah, she really helped me out a lot. And all the women at my school at Black Hole really helped me a lot. And it
Mm-hmm.
was fun, you know, it was a lot of fun. Not, I mean, it's, it stinks because you go to some schools, or you train with some people that will like take it and like run with it, you know, and that's where injuries happen, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I trust all my training partners wholeheartedly, especially all the women I work with. You know, it's amazing to see that they want to see me do well. And I think that's the beauty of it too, you know. Again, it's a team sport, so I wouldn't have been able to do that without them. You know, I can't train
Yeah.
by myself. What am I going to do? Slap a bag?
Yeah.
And so to be able to have training partners that, you know, you are hitting, so there's possibility of injury, that are tamed enough to, you know, hit me and make me like feel it, but like not enough to hurt me, and to understand when it's reversed, when I'm hitting them, like we're training, you know, it has nothing to do with anything else. So it's a big respect thing, and I think that that makes, you know, the team closer together.
Totally. Yeah, that's so cool that so many people were willing to like, because like jujitsu, like we're not going to lie and say jiu-jitsu is a totally safe sport. I mean, there's always opportunities for injuries, but I think like as you're watching Medusa, something I noticed was that once you started getting on top and slapping, it was almost like they were avoiding certain positions because they were afraid to get slapped. And that's definitely something when you like jiu-jitsu fighters transitioning to MMA, that's a big thing for them to overcome, is getting hit and not, you know, turtling up or turning away. So if you had to make the choice, would you rather get hit with an open palm strike to the face or a gloved fist to the face? Which one is worse?
I mean, I think it would depend on who's hitting me first. I definitely, mm, I would probably rather open fist. I think it has more of a sting to it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it has really like the force of a closed fist.
Mm-hmm.
I know the first time that I was actually one of the ones to slap my opponent, I was like, ooh, my hand, you know what I mean? Like it kind of hurt me too.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I like mid match, I was like, man, I was like, that is such a baby thing to say, but I was like it actually hurts both parties, you know.
Yeah.
Instead of like close fisted, like you're not feeling any pain, you know. And so, but I definitely did. I really like that I was able to incorporate my ground and pound into it. Again, I haven't been able to really like do ground and pound in an MMA fight yet. And so I thought this was a big learning experience, and things that like I can kind of like kind of with like a fine-tuned needle see like, okay, this was a smart position to hit, and then like this position maybe not so much. Or
Mm-hmm.
how am I hitting? Am I just slapping with my hand in my shoulder, or am I really turning it over as if I would in an MMA fight? So that's kind of like, that was the game plan going into it. And yeah, I learned so much. I had a lot of good feedback from my coaches, especially like with the jiu-jitsu portion. And then luckily, especially my last match, I was able to wrestle a lot, and I've been working a lot on my wrestling. So I got to see that come into practice, and that really work. And then as far as like striking, you know, I've been working a lot of striking with my striking coach, and even on the ground. So being able to, a lot of the positions that we worked on, I was able to use during my matches.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. And like, I mean, so you make it to the finals, and you're tapping person left after right. Just like last year, you know, you're just like finishing every single fight. You get the toe hold, you get the leg lock, and then you're in the that finals was such like a scrappy, like banger, just like gritty fight. And I like, you know, it comes down to this overtime situation that was just like this huge nail biter. How do you react to like your finals performance? Are you proud of how it went? And like, is there anything that you could go back to, like maybe that moment, I wish I would have done something different?
I definitely have looked back on it a lot. I mean, it was absolutely, again, like I was definitely upset that I wanted to be the double champ. I mean, there was like, I was in it to win it, you know. Like every time, whether I'm in a single match, tournament, whatever it is, I always want to be, I want to come out victorious. I knew going into that match, she was going to be tough. I do think because of the way it went in regulation that I was happy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I never really count a win in overtime a win for myself, and I never really count a lose in overtime a loss for myself. I hate going into overtime, whether it's like first to score or whether it's EDI. I never want to get there. And of course, I always push for the sub, whether it's 5 minutes, 10-minute match, whatever it is. I'm pushing for the sub. That didn't wind up obviously working out the way it did. I definitely had some valid attempts where I thought I was going to finish it, but she was tough. You know, she was definitely grinding it out. So that was definitely something I had to work through. But I'm glad I made the statement that I made. You know, I never kind of want to go into a match and make it seem even. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I want to make, you know, people know that like I am the better grappler. You know, and if I'm not, then there's things I need to work on to be. You know, I want to be the best in the world in whatever I'm doing, whether MMA, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, whatever it is. I want to be the best in it, and to show that regardless of what the outcome may look like, I know that I made a massive statement with my regulation performances. And if I lose in overtime, then it is what it is. You know, I definitely like worked for it. I think that in the weight difference didn't matter at all until we did get into overtime. I knew going into this that if you get somebody like significantly bigger than you in a dominant position, it's going to be a lot harder to get out. So I knew I had to be on the offense in order to like kind of like close that gap within the weight. I didn't feel like that in any of my matches that there was a weight discrepancy until I was put in a position where I do have a bigger person like taking my back,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so at that point, that played a big role in the outcome. But during my match, I was so much on the offense that I didn't feel a difference, you know. But with all things said, I'm really happy with how I did.
Good. Well, I felt the same way. I thought that you made a huge statement, and, you know, just moving up 2 weight classes from what you would normally be competing at, and being as dominant as you were throughout all the matches right up to the overtime. I think, you know, you made a huge statement, and there's a lot to be proud of from that. So what was like coming back from just like that crazy week? how did you rest? How did you recover?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you know me, like, I really hate losing. I really don't like it. Even though I was like, I know I won the match, but like just not getting the belt and being a double champion, like really kind of hit hard, you know. But I was happy, you know. I really couldn't be upset with myself. I'm glad I got the opportunity, you know. Thank God, and I totally thank Eddie and Victor for giving me the opportunity to do this. And especially just like within everything that happened with Invicta and all the traveling and this and that. And then just going through a gritty war, I was just like, I was happy. I was really at peace. And a lot of times if like I lose one of my matches, I kind of like, I mope around and I'm like, okay, that really stunk. Like, but I'm going to just chill. I was like so happy that I was like, let's go somewhere. I was like, let's do something. I was like, I'm ready to do whatever you guys want. Go to the beach, you know, have some fun. And so, yeah, we just got to eat. I mean, if you know me, you know I love to eat. Although I didn't have to cut weight, I was still like, I'm getting pasta, I'm getting brownies, I'm getting all the above. And so I just started to eat my heart out. It's basically my celebration and my recovery tactics. So,
Good.
yeah.
Well, that was definitely well earned, and I'm glad that, you know, when it was all over, you were in Cancun. You
Yeah.
know, there's probably no worse place to get to, you know, end up in all of that. So how did you stay sane in all of this?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I mean, honestly, like again, like if you know me, you know that I have the faith that I have in God really plays a big part in everything I do. I surround myself in the Bible and around my family and people that'll give me the wisdom that I need, and just in a lot of prayer and just like a lot of like Christian music just to kind of keep me calm. And honestly, like although I was extremely upset about Invicta, I knew it happened for a reason, you know, or it wouldn't have happened, you know. And so I knew it happened for a reason. Obviously, it was Medusa, you know, because of the statement I was able to make. Like that was a huge capital for me, you know. And so
Yeah,
definitely, you know, a lot of prayer and a lot of just like trusting God that like He has a bigger plan or He has a better plan than and then I can kind of make for myself. So.
for sure. So we've got Invicta 47. It's coming up May 11th. Are you at all interested in getting on that card, or what are you kind of thinking in terms of like MMA, jiu-jitsu? What's your timeline?
100%. If they give me somebody right now, I'm taking it. They definitely said they were gonna get me on the next card. But I'm rolling with the punches right now. You know, I'm doing jujitsu, but my focus is definitely MMA. I try to keep myself busy with jujitsu and just being able to take all the matches I can in as you know, whenever they're able to find me in an MMA fight, if it's like 3 months or 4 months, then I know, okay, so I have like 2 months that I can do jujitsu and at least enhance enhance my technique and everything that I'm doing. And honestly, I look at it as whatever door opens, I walk through, and if a door gets shut, then it's not meant for me. And so yeah, I'm definitely looking to get on that card to get another MMA fight and you know to make another statement and hopefully there'll be another Medusa and another card, a jiu-jitsu card that either before or after I can take and just continue to show that I want to be number one and I'm willing to do what it takes to get there.
Awesome. Well, let's hope that they're able to get you a fight for that Invicta card. Would love to see it. Fatima, thanks so much for the time. This was fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank you so much.
yeah, for sure. Hope to see you back in action soon. Anybody else, any sponsors you want to shout out before we hop off?
I mean, oh man, I could. Thankfully, I have like a bunch of sponsors, so I can't name them all. But you know, like if you go on my social media, they know who they are. I definitely want to thank all my coaches. My head coach Mike Wacker from Black Hole. I want to thank my striking coach Augie Matias from MK Muay Thai, and my wrestling coach David Cordova from Cordova Trained Wrestling. And like thank God for all the opportunities he's given me and the gift that he's given me. And my family, 100% with the way they support me is unreal. And just everybody at my schools that continue to show love and support. And to all my sponsors, they know who they are. So.
Right on. Well, awesome. It was fun hanging. Enjoy the week, and until next time you fight.
Absolutely. I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Yeah, for sure.